Good morning. Just wanted to provide a quick answer to several people who have reacted to my previous postings about the COVID-19 vaccine and potential side effects. There is a concern among some of my readers and friends that has been sent to me, and that is the risk of potential autoimmune reactions to the vaccine. And the argument goes something like this. If the way the vaccine works is by triggering an immune response to the spike protein of the virus, which is a protein made of amino acids. And if among the tens of thousands of proteins that our body makes all the time, there could be one or more of such proteins that share a similar enough sequence with the spike protein, couldn't we expect then those antibodies that we count on to protect us from the virus that the vaccine trigger or generate, they could also turn against those proteins that share those similar amino acid sequences? This phenomenon is known in the specialty literature as molecular mimicry. And theoretically, this is indeed a potential concern, and the question is very good in that respect. I also want to say from the start that the concern is only theoretical. We don't see any evidence that is indeed the case. And we have to thank the 70,000+ volunteers that decided to enroll in the safety and efficacy vaccine studies, clinical trials for the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna vaccines. Because now we have 6 or more months of data from these volunteers and their control groups to look at, and we don't see any increase in those who did receive the vaccine of autoimmune reactions or conditions compared to those who did not get the vaccine, who got the placebo. Now somebody could come, and I've seen that this question also, so I'm trying to answer it here. Somebody can come and say, true, 6 months nothing happened, but what about down the road? What about a year, 2, 10 years? Or what if I get an autoimmune reaction down the road like that? And you are telling me to get the vaccine right now based on only 6 months of data. Is that fair? And again, a fair question. And first of all, I'm not telling anybody to get or not to get the vaccine. This is purely for informational and educational purposes. The decision to get the vaccine is between you and your healthcare provider. But that aside, the reason I personally don't think this argument carries much water is this. We know enough about how antibodies generated by these new vaccine work, or any vaccine for that matter, work in the context of our immune response. We know that process fairly well. We also know how autoantibodies work. And so for somebody to imagine a scenario where we develop autoantibodies to the vaccine in those couple of days when the mRNA vaccine is active in the cells, and for those autoantibodies to look and do nothing for months and years and then all of a sudden to become active, it's very difficult to imagine such a clinical scenario, fortunately. And so from that perspective, I think the risk of the vaccine carrying this hidden risk of future unknown autoimmune reactions is very low. Last but not least, I wanted to also include an important aspect in this discussion. I've seen people posting and making this statement that at first sight sounds pretty reasonable, and they say, look, I'm fairly healthy, I'm young, or whatever the case might be, I'm not afraid of the condition, or I've even had it, and if I get sick with COVID-19, I'd rather go through the disease, I'd rather develop the antibodies that my body naturally, this natural aspect that is very attractive even in this context to some people, will develop, instead of getting this new not completely known how it will play out in the long-term vaccine. Fair enough. But you have to keep in mind that the virus, when it invades our cells, it brings with it 25 to 30 proteins. I forgot the exact number, but it's in that range. And the immune system reacts not just to the spike protein, it makes antibodies against other proteins that the virus brings with it. So the potential of autoimmunity to those other proteins is exponentially higher compared to just one antibody category against the spike protein that the vaccine brings in. I hope this makes sense, but it is not a difficult concept to imagine. So when we compare apples, the disease itself is exponentially, potentially, theoretically worse than the vaccine itself. And indeed, one of the reasons that people believe that the disease is so unpredictable and so terrible is not just the acute phase that fortunately most people recover from, but is the potential for long-term complications in which autoimmune processes seem to play a significant part, at least. So again, I hope this discussion